Welcome back to a new series called Exposing the Myths with our brother Mel, and joining me here in studio also for his interaction with this new discoveries, or at least new research information that Brother Mel is sharing with us about a number of Islamic myths, and he is giving us possible origins for where many of those may have come from, or at least a tie to the Zoroastrian religion that could have been responsible to reshape what we call early Islamic practices. Today we're going to talk about a mythical story known as Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, where a mention of a mythical animal known as Al-Buraq, who took Muhammad from Mecca to Jerusalem, or to the far mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque, where he prayed, and then this mythical also animal took him all the way to heaven, al-Mi'raj, basically. So we are going to ask Brother Mel now to give us an idea about the origin of this myth and the name. Mel, welcome back again. Thank you so much for this wonderful and fascinating research indeed.
Well, it's great to be back. I think the key thing here with the Buraq is the origin of the word Buraq. So that's going to be a large part of what we're going to find out today. And also what's going to be interesting is that it suggests that, at least in Persian lands, Muhammad was viewed not as a prophet, but as a shaman, which is someone who conjures evil forces, which is not really the sort of Muhammad that traditionally he's viewed as. So there's lots of hidden meanings in relation to the story of the Buraq, as we'll see later. Okay, so the hagiography of Islam assures us that the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven from Jerusalem on the mythical beast, the Buraq. He crossed the seven spheres, exchanged greetings with the patriarchs, and beheld the glory of God. The Dinkart tells us that at the entreaties of Asho Zarathustra, transcendently elevated his consciousness to the realm of heaven, wherein he looked at the majesty of God. A similar journey was attributed to the virtuous Arda Viraf, who visited hell, purgatory, and heaven during his spiritual journey. So the Dinkart is the Acts of Religion. It's a 10th century compendium of Zoroastrian beliefs and customs during the time. Now, gets a little bit more interesting when we look at the origin of the word Buraq itself. So the suggestion is that it's either Sogdian, which is sort of in the greater Iran, or Pahlavi, and it is likely the likely candidate is Barak. That's where it comes from. Now, what is meant by a Barak? It is a riding animal. Variations of it can refer to a rider as well. Okay, and also has the meaning of horse and mount and so forth. Okay, so in addition to that, we have the following. The most likely origin for a Turkic word of cultural significance is in Iranian. In fact, we find that the Avastan bar to ride, Old Persian asa bara, rider, horseman. So it's clear that that's where it comes from. So they've picked up the word, at least for this story, and perhaps also the story itself, as we'll see. So the Barak may represent the devil Ahriman. This is another demonic link, believe it or not. So it should first be noted that Barak is Middle Persian, signifies no ordinary horse. Rather, it is the sobriquet for a fantastic mount, either the devil Ahriman, whom one of the mythical Persian kings, Morap, pursued and rode upon as his charger for 30 years, or else the fiery horse of the apocalypse, which will be seen by night and in the atmosphere conceived by the spiritual gods. So this is quite strange, really, for the Islamic religion to have Muhammad traveling to heaven on essentially what could be a demon called Ahriman. So it seems like they've taken the word from the Persian and Zoroastrian culture, and with that, the concept of, essentially a flying horse. Okay. Now, it also has connections in the Turkic culture to shamans. So in later centuries, it took on meanings like hairy dog, and so on, because of its link with, and also first man, which is a shamanic animal. So it's kind of a strange one. Now, what about this demon Ahriman? His main goal, according to Zoroastrian mythology, is to fill the world with as much evil as he can, so it will destroy itself. So this is what Islam proposes as the Buraq that Muhammad is on. So while it could be argued that Muhammad riding on the demon Ahriman suggests subduing this demon, it is still a very strange association. Depictions of Zoroaster typically portray him in white vestments, which are also worn by present-day Zoroastrian priests. It is not clear if Islam copies the wearing of white when on Hajj from Zoroastrianism. So that could be a link there. So I'm leaving that kind of 50-50 on that one. Zoroaster appears with a raised hand and thoughtfully lifted finger as if to make a point. You'll probably recognize Ali Dawa there. I'm just playfully noticing the similarity in pose there.
And in all fairness, he likes grapes, so there is a connection between grapes and Zoroastrianism. So
that is true. So in Zoroastrianism, water and fire are agents of ritual purity, and the associated purification ceremonies are considered the basis of ritual life. In Zoroastrian cosmogony, water and fire are respectively the second and last primordial elements to have been created, and scripture considers fire to have its origin in the waters. Both water and fire represented within the precinct of a fire temple. Now, the Zamzam's well name strongly suggests, as we saw in the last episode, that it is named after the Zoroastrian demon Zam. Zoroastrian rituals, according to Al-Tabari, were called Li al-Zamzama. Zoroastrians usually pray in the presence of some form of fire, and the culminating rite of the principal act of worship constitutes a strengthening of the waters. Fire is considered a medium through which spiritual insight and wisdom are gained, and water is considered the source of that wisdom. Both fire and water are also hypothesized as the Yazatas, Attar, and Anahita, with worship hymns and litanies dedicated to them. So these are two more Zoroastrian gods associated with fire and water. Now, it's interesting that the Chinese source refers to the Abbasids as Heyi Dashi, which literally means black Tayaye. So it's still a question mark as to why they were called the black Tayaye. The obvious explanation would be they're wearing black. Does the color black have any significance? Let's come back to that in a second, but here are these two gods, Attar and Anahita, which are, from a Christian point of view, are essentially demons. So the fire god Adur, or Attar, is on a coin of the Turk Shahi king Tegan Shah, 728 CE. The ultimate etymology of Attar, previously unknown, is now believed to be from the Indo-European word fire, word for fire. This would make it related to Latin attar, which means black. And it's interesting that the Abbasids are referred to the black dashi. Could that be a link with Attar? However, it's unclear, but the Persian house of Karen dressed in green to symbolize the Mithraic god Mir. So maybe there is something in terms of the significance of the black that the Abbasids wore. Now, in terms of Anahita, it's the name of an Iranian water goddess, i.e. demon, whose symbol is the lotus flower. If you look at the center of it, it reminds me very much of the black stone in the Kaaba. It was prior to the 4th century BC, conflated with Istar and with Venus or Aphrodite, also referred to as Ard Wisr, the Lady of the Waters, in Zoroastrian texts post 651. So it's also called Ishtar, which is found in Iraq. Now, it's interesting here, this is a coin from the Umayyad Caliphate under Yazid I, 680 to 683. You'll notice to the right, the fire altar with attendants and the crescent and star flanking the flames. why were the Umayyad leaders so comfortable with having images of a polytheist religion on official coins? I don't know if either of you want to come in on this one.
Yeah, Jay, that's your department.
This is fascinating, as you're bringing up not only the political symbol of the of the star in the crescent, which can be traced all the way back to the 2nd century BC. Khosrau the First actually has that symbol on his coins. This is what later the Ottomans then take as the symbol for Islam itself. But if you're in Persian area, and these coins were all minted in what is today Iran and Iraq. We did this when we look at the coins. There is a picture of Khosrau on the left. There is the fire altar, suggesting, therefore, that these are incorporating these practices, which would then echo exactly what you're saying here. They had no problem doing this because they wanted to, not only they were familiar with it, but also they wanted to please the people that were there in that area.
Wonderful. All right, brother, we have about a minute or so. If you want to continue, Mel. Yeah.
So Zoroastrian priests are often depicted with veils, since face veils were used to avoid contaminating the holy fire with breath or saliva at a fire temple. This is an 8th century Tang dynasty clay figure of a Sogdian man, possibly a Zoroastrian priest. And you'll remember that there are images of Muhammad in very similar way. This is a 16th century Ottoman illustration depicting Muhammad at the Kaaba. Muhammad's face is veiled and appears with fire, which are both signs of a possible Zoroastrian influence. The practice of veiling Muhammad was followed in the Islamic art since the 16th century. Now, it could be that this has entered the tradition via Sufism, which might have been influenced by Zoroastrianism. It may not have come in directly, but there does seem to be some form of link there. And if we just tie it all together then, so we have the water principle, Anahita, or Aphrodite, connected with the Zamzam well. We have the fire principle, potentially, Attar, which means black. The Kaaba is decked in black. So perhaps that was considered a fire temple from the Zoroastrian point of view originally. And they're linked via the black stone, which represents Aphrodite, according to St. John of Damascus. So I think there might be something to this. And so it could be that this site was used both by Muslims and by Zoroastrians in the early days, and both brought their own symbolism and meaning to the site. But it does look like in early Islam there was a lot of willingness to imbibe Zoroastrian ideas, which is a real contradiction of the idea of Islam being a monotheistic religion. So in summary, Zoroastrianism massively influenced how Islam developed. Its prayer rituals and washing, its myths, its sunnah, even the well in Mecca is called a synonym for Zoroastrianism, i.e. Zamzam. So we'll come back to you in the studio.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I want us to really get ready for the next one. I think we will be talking about, if I recall, about the origin of the Aisha and Fatima story, or at least maybe names, and how they are linked to Ishmael. Anything else, Jay, you want to add?
No, this is all fascinating because we know that when you have a book and a man in a place, you then need to have a backstory. You need to have a theology that supports it. They're looking right, left, and center. They didn't have to look very far. Their headquarters is in Baghdad. Kufa is where their theological center is. Who is all around them? The Zoroastrians all around them. Mel's hit on something here. It looks like they did a lot of borrowing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, everyone. This is Fadi over and out. God bless. Take care. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, CIRA International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.